everybody, Bekka here. Today I am going to talk about folk remedies that I use and love. So let's get started. So those of you that are here for the first time, I'm Bekka and I'm here to empower you with knowledge of a detox lifestyle, providing the tools needed to make life healthier naturally. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about herbalism. I got into this years ago because we needed to find ways to cut expenses in the house. We were a one-income family, homeschooling the kids, and of course the money just did not go as far as we hoped. So I was always looking for ways to cut expenses. And that's one of the major reasons why I got into herbalism. And a lot of times in herbalism, yeah, we can get into buying bulk this herb, that herb, and it can get expensive. But I was specifically looking for how to use that weed in the front yard. What is that growing up on the fence line? You know, those types of herbs. You know, what did they use 200 years ago that actually worked? And that's the type of herbalism that I adore. So today we're going to talk about using folk remedies, or what we would consider folk remedies. But these are ones that I have used specifically and actually love them. But I want to give a little caveat here. In home health, whatever you're tending to, you need to understand what your abilities are and accept when a condition is beyond your ability. And of course, in those circumstances, we do need to seek professional help. So with that in mind, let's move forward, and I will talk to you about my favorite folk remedies and what they have been used for in the past. The first one is one that I talk about quite a bit when doing demonstrations or reenactments. I portray 1830s village herbalist and always have a blast. And this is one that the kids really love, and a lot of the adults love it too, especially the older adults, because they remember it. This particular one is called asafoetida or aspidity, and it is a resin that comes from a plant from India, but is imported all over the world and has been for hundreds of years, since before the medieval times. This may be part of the legend of wearing garlic around your neck to ward off vampires, because yes, you can wear garlic around your neck, but garlic gets soggy and can really reek. But this particular resin, as it gets harder, you know, the longer it's exposed to the air, it will get harder, and it's harder to smell unless it gets warm. And my old folks that pipe up during these demonstrations of, oh, my grandmother would make me wear these, or oh, I remember the classrooms with these in the potbelly stove in the middle of the classroom, and how the classroom would reek. I just love these stories. This was one of those herbs that when my great aunt found out that I was getting into herbalism, she started talking to me about her grandmother and how her grandmother was an herbalist. And she would require the grandchildren to wear this resin around their neck in the wintertime. And we do this today during the winter. We will usually either wear or carry asafoetida in a resin bag. And a resin bag is really easy to make. It is just a piece of fabric. Most of the folklore, they use some sort of flannel and plaited flannel, but I've cheated, and this is just muslin. And you just take your piece of fabric, You take a piece of the resin, which all you need is no bigger than the size of your pinky fingernail, so you don't need very much at all. You just wrap the asafoetida up, and then you take some string and you tie it. You know, you want to take the string centered, tie it around the bag so you have a little simple sachet. And then you can tie the ends of the string and create a necklace. So this one's a little long, but that's okay. It's just cotton string, and this one happens to have some cotton printed fabric. And I think a little girl would be so proud to wear this all winter long, knowing that they are warding off the evil spirits, because that is what is making them sick. So that is the folk remedy of asafoetida, or also called aspidity. My next folk remedy is another demonstration that I do quite a bit when doing reenactments, and it is one to do with garlic. And I love telling the kids this because it's a safe remedy that they can experiment with just about any time at home. And it can prove that I might actually be talking some sense here and not just woohoo. But anyway, so this one is a real simple one. You take a clove of garlic, and you're going to want to take the skin off. And then before you go to bed, put your garlic on the bottom of your foot and put your sock over the garlic and go to sleep. In the morning, you're going to wake up and you should taste garlic in your mouth. And the reasoning in that is the bottom of our foot, you're able to absorb the goodness from the garlic, and the garlic is actually flowing through your body, and that's why you would taste it in your mouth. So this is a remedy that I actually do use here at the house. If somebody is feeling a little pilly-wally, I will take a clove of garlic, have them put it in their sock, and put their sock on their foot and go to bed. And it does seem to help. We rarely get sick here at the house. So that's a fun folk remedy, just a clove of garlic in your sock. To continue in our theme of garlic, another folk remedy that I've used a portion or a thought of this remedy as the kids have grown up. It never fails. The earache. The earache always happens on a Friday afternoon, right, moms? And of course, you can't even make a doctor's appointment until Monday morning. So what are you going to do? Well, the folk remedy is to take a clove of garlic, take the skin off, and stick it in the kid's ear. And of course, what that was supposed to do is get rid of the ear infection, right? Well, I kind of didn't like the idea of taking a clove of garlic in the ear and putting it in the ear canal. I can just see me having to take the kids to the ER because stupid mom put a clove of garlic in the kid's ear and can't get it out. I definitely don't want to have to explain that to the doctor. They would think that I'm woohoo for sure. But anyway, I have a rendition of this, and I have used it in several different circumstances, and it has always worked. It's garlic oil. So garlic oil is very easy to make. You take a couple of cloves of garlic, stick it in a dry jar, take your olive oil, top it off, and in a couple of weeks you have some good old strong garlic oil. And you don't have to hold on to your garlic oil for just earaches. You can season salads with it. You know, now you have a salad dressing. You can cook with it on low heat. You know, there is a plethora of things that you can do with your garlic oil. And one of them is, kid comes up with an earache, then I will take a couple of drops full of the garlic oil, the garlic infused olive oil, and I will stick it in my child's ear. And this has always been with the intentions of, all right, this is just to get us through to be able to make a doctor's appointment, I have never had to do 2 doses, and I've never had the child wake up the next morning saying, my ear still hurts. And I've even been out of town, like for say at my sister's house, and of course she doesn't do the herbalism like I do, and she doesn't make up her own garlic oil. But one night my child woke up and woke me up and said, Mom, my ear hurts. So we go down and raid the fridge. Let's see what we can do. And I happened to find some minced garlic, and I just drained off a little bit of the oil from the minced garlic that is store-bought and just in a jar in the shelf of her fridge. And I was able to use that as a remedy, and sure enough, next morning, he never said a thing about it. Even when I asked him about it later, how does your ear feel? Oh, it feels fine, Mom. And then he's off, playing with his cousins. So just chalking up the successes with a garlic clove. We're going to continue on with our stinky folk remedies, and the next one is a real interesting one as well. And that is this right here is onion. So one of the folk remedies that I've run across is when somebody is sick, you take an onion and you chop it in half and you stick it throughout the sick room. So you might put it on the bedside table, you might put it on the other side of the room, and the interesting thing is the onion would be absorbing the illness in the room. And then, of course, you don't cook with it. Some of the extenuations of the folk remedy is that you bury it and let it decay. You throw it out in the compost. You throw it in a fire. It doesn't matter, but you do not consume it. And I would understand why, because it does absorb the illnesses in the air, and then you would have it in your food or have it in the onion, and you wouldn't want to ingest it. And yes, I have used this. It does make the room smell a little pungent, but I think it helps, and it is a fun folk remedy that does no harm, so why not try it? But that is a chunk of onion in the sick room. And you can also do that with garlic and your asafoetida. You can hang the asafoetida up around the bedpost to ward off illness while you're sleeping. You can do the same thing with a clove of garlic. You can flatten the garlic. You can flatten the garlic and sit it on the bedside table so it will absorb the illnesses in the air. So those are other great uses of folk remedy. Another great folk remedy that I use almost every year is root beer. So root beer has been a folk remedy for the springtime, and what you do is you make up your root beer and then you give it to the kids as a treat and after it has either soaked in the ice and gotten real cold, or in the cool river, and it's just a great treat because it gets rid of the bad stuff that your body has accumulated through the winter, being cooped up in a smoky cabin all winter long. And I can understand why traditional root beer would have been used for that circumstance. You would use roots like sassafras, sarsaparilla. There's astragalus root. There is burdock root. You can even use dandelion. You could use licorice root or even dandelion root. And in any combination, you know, there are hundreds of different recipes of root beer, and over the years, you know, I've experimented with quite a few of the different recipes. And I've also experimented with root beer as a soda, where you're just looking for the carbonation and then it's ready to go, versus taking it all the way to a fermented alcoholic drink similar to a beer. And this particular one is the fermented version, so I can store it longer. And there are many recipes out there for root beer or your sarsaparilla, and real sarsaparilla beer is a great springtime remedy. So that is an awesome one to experiment with your children and just play around with making your own sodas. So there you go. Root beer. The last remedy that I'm going to talk about contains this herb right here, which this one is kind of a dried up herb, but that's okay. It's still a viable herb. And this is horseradish root. And they would use that in different types of mixtures. You know, similar to your root beer, there are many different recipes to making fermented horseradish or a vinegar horseradish or something along those lines. This is my rendition of this folk remedy. You might know it by many different names, for instance, maybe fire cider or hot cider, but with making your own herbal remedies, you get to come up with your own remedy names. The kids had labeled this Horgelsnoovers. Name came from a family of friends that we would homeschool with, and one day I was showing them how to make this hot cider, and the kids named it Horgelsnoovers. Here at the house, we've had names like Dragon's Breath, Dragon's Fire, you know, because this stuff is hot. You know, just about any hot herb that you can think of, like ginger, garlic, any type of peppers, jalapenos, horseradish, onion. It all goes in here. It all gets chopped up, goes in here in vinegar, which you can use regular vinegar, you can use apple cider vinegar, you can make your own vinegar, use whatever vinegar you want. But that's the basis of making Horgelsnoovers or Dragon's Breath, depending on what child you talk to. But anyway, with that, what do we use it for? Well, I use it in the wintertime. I can use it as a marinade over meat. You can use a little bit in a salad to give you that wow. If you were man enough, you can actually take a shot of the vinegar. If you're feeling ill, that will burn any illness out of you. It won't want to stick around. So that is Horgelsnoovers. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. What are the folk remedies that you enjoyed today or would be willing to try? Or is there some folk remedies that you have that I didn't talk about today? Leave them in the comment section below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. That way you receive notices each and every time I load a video. But I will talk to you again soon, and until then, get healthy, be happy, and herbal on! Bye.